Hello everyone. In this video, we are talking about top 10 large business ERP systems in 2025. So let's dive in.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
My name is Sam Gupta. I'm principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent vendor agnostic technology advisory firm. We help our clients with technology selection, digital transformation strategy, as well as change management. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is going to be top 10 large business ERP systems in 2000. Before we look at the list, let's align our expectations in terms of how we define the large market segment. In general, we consider large as companies that are going to have more than $1 billion in revenue or a comparable. In large segment as well, there could be two different segments that are going to have slightly different needs. In general, anything that is going to be between 1 billion to roughly 5 billion, that is going to be the lower enterprise segment. Generally, these companies don't have as much implementation budget. They are not going to be as agile with respect to their M&A, so their business model is not going to evolve as much. But when you go for the upper enterprise segment, which is going to be $5 billion and above, in general, they are going to be extremely busy. Making any sort of changes in those large corporations is going to be hard in general. Now, for this list, we combine all of the industries. So pay close attention to the commentary as I talk about each of the product, because not all product could be applicable for each of the industries. Our recommendation in general with our lists is that always try to find more specific list that you can find related to your industry as well as your size segment. But if that is not available, then you need to go up and rely on slightly generalized list, because that is just not available. But for the most part, your goal should be to find as specific list as possible. That's where you are going to find the right products that are going to be relevant for your business needs as well as for your specific industry. Now, some other things to keep in mind overall from this list perspective is these companies are going to be present in more than 10 countries. So globalization, localization is going to be a much bigger factor. They are trying to find financial as well as operational synergies across their entities. So the multi-entity capabilities are going to be much higher priority as well. For the most part, they need to comply with the regulations of so many different countries, and sometimes those regulations could be as severe as either e-invoicing or GDPR, and those regulations do require enterprise-grade capabilities. The kind of approval flows that they are going to require is going to be at a different level in general. A lot of these companies are probably either going to be audited or publicly traded. In general, for those companies, the kind of assets that you are going to have, for example, Sarbanes-Oxley compliance, those are going to be very different need, and you require very different collaboration in general that most smaller solutions are not necessarily designed to support. So generally, from the architecture perspective, these companies are too big to be able to install just one system. So in general, with this market segment, they in most cases they are probably going to have some of the best of breed flavor. So in general, the systems that are designed for this market segment, they are going to have flavors of best of breed even among their own portfolio. The way they are designed is you can easily swap them out with other best of breed products if you have to, if you don't want to go with those products. So that's a huge plus for companies that might not be able to install just one solution or replace everything that they might be using at this point of time. The criteria that we have used for this list is product share, acquisition strategy, focused on large business ERP segment, as well as the product roadmap, community, ecosystem, win rate, technology, as well as the investors. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is, at this particular spot, we have two different products. So number one is Workday and Certinia, and these two are completely different companies as well as the ERP systems. But we have bundled them together just because they are very close overall in their scope as well as penetration. In general, when you look at Workday, some people might argue that Workday is not necessarily an ERP system. They are really deep into the ACM capabilities. They have finance capabilities. They have some indirect procurement and some FP&A. Now, if you follow all of these modes closely, then you are going to feel that Unit 4 is going to have very similar scope as well as capabilities as well. So for service-centric industries, Workday could be considered as ERP. In some cases, for example, let's say if you look at retail, the scope of ERP is very limited in retail. For the most part, they use ERP primarily for financial reporting. The other processes that they have are generally captured inside their OMS layer, WMS layer, supply chain suite. Those retail systems are designed for volume and they have to keep the inventory layer in that. So that's why the only scope of ERP for them is going to be financial reporting. In those cases, Workday could be a great fit. And Certinia is a great product as well, but that is primarily for the professional services companies. That is going to be technology consulting centric spaces. They do really well and they use Salesforce as a platform. So that's a huge plus for companies that might already be on Salesforce. So some of these trends to keep in mind for these two products is the enterprise grade best of breed capabilities. So that's a huge strength. Proven for enterprise workloads, so they have really large logos, and that's a huge plus. They both are very cloud native in general. The limitations to keep in mind is requires internal IT maturity. In general, both of the products are very complex, so you need to have substantial consulting training budget, IT maturity to be successful with these products. Requires discipline with master data governance. So that's going to be another challenge that you would need substantial or the mature IT organization. And this is probably going to be very expensive. So that's number 10. Number 9 on our list is QAD. And QAD is ideal for large supply chain heavy companies. This is going to be custom manufacturing, discrete manufacturing. In those cases, QAD does really well. Now, the way QAD suite is designed, it has the supply chain suite plus ERP built as part of the suite, and that is a very unique configuration that other vendors don't have. And these capabilities are pre-integrated, so that's a huge plus overall from the capabilities perspective. The strengths to keep in mind from the QAD's perspective is global capabilities as well as last mile capabilities for several industries. So that's a huge, those are some of these strengths. Limitations to keep in mind is not as diverse as needed for larger companies. For example, if you compare this with SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, they are going to be slightly more horizontal platform. They can accommodate a lot more business models as part of their suite compared to QAD, which is going to take a very focused approach. But then because of that focused approach, you are getting a lot more as part of the suite. So again, the approach is different, but depending upon what you care for, if you are going to be limited on your implementation budget, then QAD is probably going to be a better fit. But if you are looking for slightly broader capabilities, slightly more agile model where you can configure as you like, or you can accommodate as many business models as you like, then those larger products are probably going to be better fit for you. Global, but supported only in fewer countries, so it's not as globalized and localized as some of the other products, and the ecosystem might not be as strong as compared to the other products. So those are some of the negatives, and that's number 9. Number 8 on our list is Sage X3. And Sage X3 is ideal for lower enterprise process manufacturing companies. And with Sage X3, especially the enterprise companies that are going to be limited on their budget and they are looking for these processes that are already configured as part of the product, then Sage X3 could be a great fit there. Strengths to keep in mind is the last mile functionality for process manufacturing centric ecosystem. The consulting companies, the pharma compliance companies, they are all part of stage X3 ecosystem, and that's a huge plus for them. And then robust ERP capabilities for large public companies. Limitations to keep in mind is not as diverse as needed for larger companies. Again, this is a very focused product for the process manufacturing companies. They can support discrete as well, but for the most part, it's not going to be as generalized model as the larger peers. So that's going to be a little negative there. And the localization and globalization, it might not be supported in as many countries as compared to the other products. And then ecosystem is going to be slightly weaker as well. So those are some of the negatives, and that's number 8. Number 7 on our list is Unit 4. And Unit 4 targets very specific industries, and this is going to be public sector, not for profit. They have some logos in the consulting space, universities. So those are the industries where Unit 4 really shines. The strengths to keep in mind from Unit 4 perspective is the enterprise grade capabilities for Unit 4 for universities as well as not for profits. The cloud capabilities pre-integrated HCM as well as the procurement processes tailored for services industries. That's going to be a huge plus as well. Some limitations to keep in mind, not as diverse as the other larger solutions, limited ecosystem and consulting base, and the localization may not be as broad as the other products that we have on this list. So that's number 7. Number 6 on our list is Deltek. And Deltek does really well in certain industries. Again, these are all very specific products designed for very, very, very specific industries. So sometimes it's very hard to compare them and put them on the same list. So that's why the industries are very important. So again, pay close attention to that. So in this case, Deltek is designed for the construction, architecture, engineering, as well as government contractors. The companies, the upper or the enterprise companies that are going to be limited on implementation budget, because you are going to get a lot more as part of the suite. The strength to keep in mind is the GOPCON as well as DACA compliance that are going to be pre-built as part of the product as well. The multi-entity capabilities for global companies, last mile capabilities would expedite the implementation. So that's a huge strength for Deltek. Limitations, again, it's not going to be as diverse as some of the larger solutions that we have on this list. And then the ecosystem and consulting base is going to be limited as well, just like with any other focused products, and globalization is not going to be as broad compared to other larger products. So that's number 6. Number 5 on our list is Infor Cloud Suite LN M3, and LN M3 are two completely different products. Generally, the way Infor likes to brand them or market them as you are going to find Infor Cloud Suite Automotive Aerospace, Infor Cloud Suite Chemicals, Food and Beverage, but underneath they use one of the ERP systems, either LN or M3, but then they have other Infor products that are sort of kitted together, bundled together, and that bundle has the branding of the industry specific cloud suites. But for the most part, when you buy these suites, you are buying one of these ERP systems. So LN, for the most part, does really well in the discrete space. M3 centric suites are going to be designed for process centric industries. So the strengths to keep in mind from the Infor Cloud Suite LN M3 perspective is the global capabilities are far more mature compared to other solutions. They might not be as mature as the larger peers, but for the most part, the operational capabilities are going to be far richer. The last mile capabilities are far richer as well. And then the best of breed integrations is a huge plus with Infor Cloud Suite LN M3. Now, limitations to keep in mind is not as diverse for large companies, limited ecosystem and consulting base, and fewer countries supported for globalization compared to other larger solutions. Very similar limitations as any other focused products that we have covered so far on this list. That's number 5. Number 4 on our list is IFS. And IFS is ideal for enterprise companies that are going to be really heavy on field service, EAM, centric processes, that is going to be enterprise asset management. And generally, these are going to be industries, oil and gas, energy, utility, telecommunication, etc. In those industries, IFS does really well. The strengths to keep in mind is suitable for industries with intertwined EAM as well as field service workflows. So if you care for enterprise grade field service asset centric processes, that's where IFS does really well. Proven among large enterprise companies, and it is also going to be cloud native. Limitations to keep in mind is not as diverse for large companies. Again, this is a very focused product. The ecosystem consulting base is going to be very similar, negative as any other focused product. And then globalization might not be supported as much as other products, but depending upon how many countries you are present, that might not even be relevant for you if you have very limited scope in which countries you might want support for. So that's number 4. Number 3 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 FNO. In general, the difference between the other product that we have covered so far versus this product is that it's going to be slightly diversified, generic product in general. And then if you want to utilize any of the industry capabilities, then you would need to rely on third-party capabilities, third-party add-ons in general. So Microsoft Dynamics 365 FNO is going to be far more localized and globalized. So that is going to be one plus with this particular product. The strengths, the rich operational capabilities in the cloud compared to the other larger solutions on this list. The best of the products that we have inside the Microsoft portfolio, the integration is done at the database level, and that's a huge plus. In terms of the seamless communication between those components. Some systems may integrate them at the service level, so sometimes there are issues because of that. But this is natively baked, designed, integrate at the database level, so that's why communication is going to be far more seamless in general with Microsoft Dynamics 365 FNO. And then powerful ecosystem as well as marketplace add-ons for diverse organizations. So that's going to be another plus. The limitations to keep in mind is suite capabilities through third parties. And again, because of that, you are going to have a little bit of implementation risk that you need to keep in mind. And that's where you would require a lot more due diligence in terms of which add-ons you are buying and what is going to be architecture, what is going to be your dependency diagram among all of these add-ons that you are buying and how they are going to communicate together. So you would require a lot more research as well as consulting help that you need to put in the upfront process to be successful with these composite of solutions. And then it might not be as proven for larger workloads. For example, let's say if you look at SAP Oracle, they are a lot more proven in general. Microsoft Dynamics tend to have logos that are slightly smaller than SAP and Oracle. And then limited last mile capabilities as well as best of breed capabilities. So if you compare this with the other focused product, you are not going to find as much operational capabilities. And for that, you would require add-ons. So that's going to be a little negative, and that's number 3. Number 2 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. And Oracle Cloud ERP does really well in those global publicly traded companies that are trying to consolidate their global operations, with complex financial reporting needs, especially the publicly traded companies or companies that are going to be either regulated or very audit heavy. So for those companies, Oracle Cloud ERP is a great fit. Some strengths to keep in mind is proven among larger companies, ecosystem for diverse business model, and proven in most countries worldwide. So that's going to be a huge plus, especially for locations where other products might not be supported, available. In that case, Oracle Cloud ERP may be one of the only choices for you. Some limitations to keep in mind is limited last mile capabilities, increasing implementation budget. So again, because of the limited last mile capabilities, you would need a lot more consulting help in configuring, and then you are going to require a lot more solutions as well that you need to buy from third party. So that's going to be a negative for them. And industry-specific suite capabilities are going to be limited as well, and not as proven for ethic. For example, if you look at larger workloads, SAP is going to have a lot more larger logos compared to Oracle Cloud ERP. So that's going to be another negative for Oracle, and that's number 2. Number 1 on our list is SAP S/4HANA. And SAP S/4HANA is ideal for large workloads similar to Fortune 500 companies. The strengths is number 1, it is proven for very large enterprise companies, and that's a huge plus for SAP. And generally, if you look at the scope of implementation, SAP implementations are generally much deeper. They are doing the global MRP as part of the same database, same solution. So that's a huge plus for SAP compared to other solution which might only do financial reporting. They might not be as deep in terms of their scope. So the amount of volume, the transaction that they have handled, that is proven for very large work. Ecosystem for diverse business models and proven in most countries worldwide. So that is going to be their strengths. Some limitations to keep in mind is limited last mile capabilities, increasing implementation budget, limited industry specific suite capabilities, and not as flexible for industries requiring ad hoc processes. That's another negative for SAP, and that's number 1. If you enjoyed this video, we are going to include a link that is going to have much more depth, in a report. So check that link. If you prefer audio form, this is also available on major podcasting platform. So you might want to check there and subscribe. We publish these videos on a weekly basis. So you might want to hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss them. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.